pleasure it is to be here with you all today. Welcome to Angel Heart Radio, where we are your soft place to land. And we mean that from the perspective that we're heart, we're soul, we care about you, and we're here to support you. I'm with the effervescent, fabulous David Laws. Hi, David.
Hey. Good morning, Anayah, and good morning, everybody, and good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this beautiful world of ours today.
Absolutely. So today we've got a first, before we go any further, may I just take a moment to express my incredibly deep gratitude for all the beautiful messages that are coming through on the birth. I'm going to get very emotional on the birth of beautiful little granddaughter, Evie Grace, who arrived Earthside, Australia time, the Thursday, October 5th. I just want you all to know that your messages are so incredibly valuable and beautiful. And I thank each and every one of you for taking the time to extend them. So today, David, our program is all about restoring faith in humanity. And today's topic, each month we will have a topic, and today's topic is distractions and illusions. And what a beauty distractions and illusions can be, David.
Absolutely, my dear friend. It's a world of illusion, a world of distraction, and a world of smoke and mirrors. Look over here, look over here, look over there, believe this, believe that, believe him, believe her, believe it, and all these sorts of things. And in this day and age, Anayah, of technology, where we are being bombarded with something like 60 to 80,000 messages, sometimes a minute, that can go through our thoughts. And over a day and over a week, is it any wonder that we are so lost, confused, distracted and disheveled, and we don't know where we're at, and we're just being bombarded with all this information. And it's purely, for the most part, it's a major distraction to take us away from our truth of who we are and what we're here to do.
That is absolutely correct. And see, the thing is, guys, it's really important that we remember, understand, accept, and appreciate the fact that we have the most incredible gift in our free will. We can choose, and it's not necessarily easy, but we can choose not to be distracted, not to believe in the illusions. So here's what happened to me. So when we had the big event in 2020, I got so caught up in the fear. I got so caught up in it. And it took me quite a while to realize what was really going on. And there's that old saying, focus on the right hand so you don't see what the left hand is doing. And when I began to realize that this was what was happening, I began to also have this deep appreciation for the gift that I've been given, that we've all been given, of free will, of choice, and of being able to go into my heart space and choose a different path, which I did. And once I started to do that, I then became peaceful about things. I felt, really connected. And I also understood that what I had experienced was a very valuable teacher for me, David.
That's 100%, honey. And I think, that was a little bit of a left field for the whole world. Nobody has ever experienced a pandemic and all of the things that occurred 3 years ago. We were totally unprepared, and it came in and whoosh. And initially, in those initial stages there, you think to yourself, is this real? It didn't take me long to sort out and to feel my way into the situation and quietly arrive at my own peaceful evaluation of what was really going on behind the scenes. But that was a private journey. But all that aside, all my private stuff aside, the reality is the world was unprepared for what occurred. And it was a demonstrative of the fact that the world does live in fear. We are a fear-based world and a fear-based society. And whether we like it or not, we are born into fear. From the day we're born into fear, and we're born into a world of illusion and control. And we are being told and instructed what and who to believe. So it takes a lot of skill and a lot of a real inner journey to really work towards finding your way and navigating a path that's true to your own sense of your own value and your own truth, I guess. And most importantly, and we chatted about this earlier today, about finding your pathway to peace. Find your own pathway to peace. And it's not out there, it's in here. It's
That's
that's
where,
all
yeah,
too good.
that's
Okay.
exactly where it is. And the thing of it is, that's the illusion, right? The
Mm.
distraction is what we feel like is, and I'm looking at the sky right now, and it's, oh my God, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it looks so real, right? And it is
Yeah.
on the earthly plane,
Mm.
on in my experience in this moment. But equally, I could shift my gaze just a couple of feet to the right, and I'm just looking at the wall of a house, which is
Yeah.
there.
That's
So
right.
where do I choose to look? Am I going to look up and look at the sky and feel what that's
Mm.
like in my heart? Feel what that does to my energy. And I want to invite you all to practice this at least 3 times today. Put your
Mm.
attention on something that is beautiful, brings you joy, and then put your attention on something that is sort of, neutral. It's neither here nor there. And notice what happens in your body and with your energy. And the
Mm.
more that we practice this, isn't this true, David? Because I know you
100%.
practice this all the
100.
time. You're very conscious about where you place your focus.
Yeah.
And this is where the magic is, really.
It is 100%. Most of us, Anayah, have either got our thoughts focused on what's happened in the past, and because of what's happened in the past, our thoughts then go into worries about the future. So oh my God, look what's happened in the past. But what about the future? How many people live today? How many people are present today and present? Because our thoughts are either in the past or in the future. Very few people are thinking about, oh my gosh, this cake tastes so nice. I'm sitting in a coffee shop. I'm enjoying this beautifully. Who was the barista that made this coffee? This is superb. Because so many people walk in there, eat a cake, have a coffee, and they do eat a coffee and drink a cake because they're so confused. So the point I'm trying to make is that savor the moment and try to live more in the moment of what are you doing now, and what are you? I drove out to Table Cape yesterday, which is only 10 minutes from here. It's a beautiful big lighthouse down on the point. And guess what? All the tulips are out. So all the tulips are blooming. So I decided to go out and have a coffee and a cake yesterday morning. And when I left the coffee shop, I drove out to Table Cape. I'm going out there again tomorrow morning to get more photos when it's not as busy. Yesterday was packed, but I just drove. My point is, I drove through all these rolling green fields with all these tulips. And yes, I'm driving along and concentrating, but it's just enjoying that moment and being present in the moment of even just the country drive through the country lanes, and just giving thanks for this beautiful place that I live in and being present in that moment. And even when I'm on a journey of traveling from A to B, I try as consciously as I can to admire what I'm witnessing as I go along. I mean, how many of us have ever got into the car, driven from point A to point B, and you get to point B and you think, how did I get here? I can't remember anything about the trip, because we're just in automatic pilot mode and we are just not present. We're in another land. But if you just take the time to savor what's going on around you, you see so much.
You really do. And right now, we are being presented with so many opportunities to direct our attention, our energies, and our choice. And there are so many. They're showing me like a fishing net with all the little sinkers on them, and all of those little sinkers shine and they attract fish and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that for us.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many moments within the moments where we're being really invited to become distracted. And we really need to, this is really important. We really need to become conscious of that. It's not about pointing the finger and blaming anyone. That gives our power away.
It does.
That makes us feel disempowered, because we are. So it's about noticing and then choosing how we're going to proceed. And as you so rightly said before, for me, the most important path is the path within.
Oh,
That's
absolutely. 100%. Now, this little device that everyone has in the world, one thing I did probably, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago. Do you know what? We can't get by without these. That's the reality. But I have turned off all my notifications. I don't get any notifications anymore. All those bells and whistles are gone. Every time somebody would like a comment or put a comment up on my bing, it'll come up on thing, bing, oh, what's that? What have they got to say? Then you go into there, distraction. It's just like, oh, okay. But even though it was all good stuff, it still takes your mind away from like, look over here. So number one thing, guys, I highly recommend, you don't need to be notified necessarily. Turn off your bells and your notifications. And when you want to go on and check your social media and do all those things, well, you can do that. But all these little things add up to the big things over the course of time, because if it's not that's distracting us, it's for people who watch TV, there's a distraction there. Everything's about, programming and trying to divert our attention away from who we truly are. And that's why I think a lot of people, very sadly, in this day and age, we haven't seen heights of depression so high as what they are now, because isn't it funny that we're in such a connected world, but we're so disconnected in that sense, connections like you wouldn't believe, and technology like you wouldn't believe, but it's really led us into a much more, a much grander state of confusion and not really knowing what or who to believe. And unfortunately, again, coming back to the social media things, I don't mean to bash social media. It's been, when you use it correctly, and, it's been a boon for my business, but people get caught up in the illusion of all the worlds on Facebook. It's like, oh my God, look at his life, look at her life, look at their life. And even that can be an illusion, because there's a smoke and mirrors and facades. And for every wonderful thing that we see there, what's really going on behind the scenes with that person or with whatever. So it's not all that it always seems, and we need to take it aboard and keep it in perspective, keep that control. And I think we can only achieve that when we are pretty much got a nice even balance ourselves, and we keep, and I always say to people, just keep a couple of steps backwards, take a couple of steps back, learn to become the observer of life, learn to observe and not to be absorbed, because when we're absorbed, we don't have any perspective, but because we're just absorbed into the whole experience. And when there's a big thing going on in the world, I mean, in Australia, we've got the big yes, no vote going on. So everyone's absorbed in that. But even that in itself, it's like, hang on a minute, just take a big step back, take a nice big deep breath and hold things in perspective here. Okay. Learn to think, oh my God, for a moment, I thought it was real. For a moment, I thought this was all real, but it's just a big game. It's like, oh, thank God, it's only just a game. Yeah.
That's right. And it's one of those things, isn't it, darling, that when we start taking a few steps back, it's like, as you were speaking, they were showing me a picture of, you walk beside someone and you have a conversation. If you take a couple of steps back and you look at that person from behind and you don't see their expressions, then we connect in actually a very different way. Because we begin to notice, what's the body language? How are the shoulders? Is someone tense? And it's that wonderful opportunity to connect on a much deeper level, because the illusion of this world is that A, we're disconnected, B, we're powerless. Yeah,
that's right.
And C, we need to be in fear and glue ourselves to the news or whatever it is, to get, to feel safe. And the fact of the matter is that these things are driven by persons and parties who have their own agenda.
Correct.
So when we take a step back from that, it's incredible how much more peaceful I felt when I stopped connecting with all of that stuff.
Absolutely.
Like you, I don't have my notifications turned on either, because it is a distraction, and then you get into a habit that becomes habitual.
Excuse me, darling, I forgot to turn my chiming clock off. Can you hang on a sec?
That's all right, hon. That's all right. So now look at that. Have you noticed that, guys? The chime went off as that was being said.
That's exactly right.
That's a
notification. Bing, bing, bing. That's right.
And it's also it's a message from spirit to say, pay attention to this. See how it feels for you. We're not here to tell you what to do. And by the way, Angel Heart Radio programs, I've got to do this. Angel Heart Radio programs should not be used to replace your legal, medical, or professional advice, nor your own sound judgment. Spirit will send messages in so many ways. I got a message this morning. I ordered a new chair for my desk. I ordered the wrong one. I was going to take it back. I took it outside. I dropped it, banged it up.
Gosh.
So it's like, and then I realized what's really important to me today it's not this chair, I can tell you.
Yeah, that's
It's still
right.
comfortable. It will still, it's not the one I wanted, but really, I think, and it was the same when I bought my microphone. I had terrible buyer's remorse, David. I thought, oh God, I have to take it back. It's so much money, blah, 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 blah. And then I went to pack it in its box and I dropped it and it hit the bricks and just put a tiny little scratch on it. And I heard the angels say, right, now focus on where you're going, not on your fears.
That's right.
You'll feel a lot better.
Absolutely.
And this microphone has been worth its weight in gold.
Oh, wow.
So there you go.
How long have you had that now?
Oh, it must be 3 years now.
Okay.
Yeah. And there you go. It's the illusion of, am I worthy of this? Should I have spent that money? Whatever. The distraction of what my fear and my unresolved issues of not deserving or making a good choice help me to begin to resolve those issues.
That's right. That's right.
So they're not the issues now, right?
Yeah, that's right. I know.
So the distraction and the illusion actually led me onto a pathway of resolution.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And the beautiful thing about, when people do have the courage to start breaking away from all of the collective energies and fears and what have you, there's nothing more powerful than a free spirit when somebody's a free thinker and a free doer. And it's just like, I am uncontrollable. I'm out of control. I can't be controlled. And that's what the authorities hate. It's just like, oh my God, get back in here, and get back into the matrix, and be a part of the matrix. And I mean, for the most part, most people are in the matrix and not even aware of what it is, and the fact that we're in this controlled environment in so many ways. But it's not until you learn all the aspects of what the truth is and truth of life that you step back and you think, oh my gosh, it's like fleshing away the truth and getting back to the reality of who we are and sovereign beings and these beautiful people that we are born into a sense of we are a creation of the creator, the divine creator, and yet we are not told, we're not taught that. We are just backing down with beliefs and things. And I mean, look, we can be born into the most beautiful family, like my siblings and I have the most wonderful parents. Dad's passed on now, but we couldn't have wished for a better upbringing in childhood. But nonetheless, we were born into fear because that's what mum and dad were born into. And I mean, but we don't even realize it. And even as a parent, there are certain fears that I know that my ex-wife and I have passed on to our daughter, but not wittingly. It was all unwitting. But you look back and think, oh my gosh, what I would have done differently and how it's things I would have taught her. But they were things I didn't realize and understand at the time. And as we said earlier today in a conversation, my truth 10, 20 years ago was a different truth to what it is now, because I didn't know what I knew back then, what I know now. And so therefore, it's always a journey of revelations and revealings and fleshing away. It's like, and it goes deeper and it goes deeper. And I can absolutely I can guarantee you that, 5, 10, 20 years from now, it'll still be the same. It'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe what I believed in 20 years ago. But, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. Yeah. And it's ever changing as we evolve. This is a journey of evolution and growth. And that's what we're all doing, either consciously or unconsciously.
Yeah, absolutely. Janice in the comments has said a field of tulips would be like living through heaven.
That's sweetheart, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely, it is. Yeah, there are in the fields there, Janice. There's rows and rows and rows of colours, and from the distance, all you see is these rolling green hills, and all of a sudden you come upon it's I call it God's canvas. It's like He's just got a canvas out of the sky and dipped his paintbrush in the colours and painted strips over all these green fields for miles. It's just stunning.
It's gorgeous. And that's a great point too, because it brings me up now to the fact that whoever you are watching this, you are that canvas as well. And whatever is happening in your life or may have happened, however many times you may have fallen down, you've picked yourself up again because you're here, right? If you hadn't picked yourself up, you wouldn't be here. You might still be in that process. And it's so important just to give yourself a hug and really connect with the magnificence that is you. Because when we move forward, and hey, I don't feel like that 24/7. I can tell you right now, but you don't either, David.
Oh, yes, I do.
Oh, there you go.
So there's only one of us that's perfect.
Okay, so the one that isn't perfect. So you know what I mean? It's like,
but on a serious note, honey,
yeah,
we are human and we are real. And
we need to really love ourselves through
100%.
everything we're going through. And
Yeah,
sometimes it's so difficult. Honestly, it feels like we're never going to get through.
I
But
know.
somehow we do. We've got a lot
Yeah.
of spiritual support.
Unbelievable. Yeah, exactly. And do you know what else is important, my darling? And our dear friends out there, it's important to embrace and love our mistakes and our imperfections as well, because that's what makes us gloriously imperfect. I always say the ripple and the thread of imperfection that run through every soul and being is what makes us that unique spiritual being that we are. And there's no such thing as perfection, but we have, again, coming back to ideology, I call it, it's an awful thing to say, but I call it the Kardashian syndrome, where it's just like keep up with the Kardashians. It's just like, oh my God, God love them. I mean, great marketing team and, good on them for the life that they've created. But, again, it's just it's just a reminder of the fact that, you know what, I have got a list of imperfections and things a mile long, but guess what? I've learned to embrace them and I laugh at them. I used to cringe and think, oh my God, but now it's like, oh, I have stuffed up badly. Do you want to hear about my stuff ups? I'll write a book on them, and it'll make you feel good. You think, oh, well, I don't feel that bad. I've just seen David's crap, so I don't feel as half as bad now.
And that's a great point, David, because it's so easy. Look, we look like we've got it all together today, right? And pretty much we do in this moment.
Yeah, that's right.
However, when people know that you struggle as well, when people who maybe see you as and this happens quite a lot, and it's actually untrue in a lot of ways, that people think you're further, like higher in a spiritual realm than they are, and that's actually not true. No. Because the day that I look totally together and the day that I'm, has happened recently, where I've had, quite a lot to process, and wow, I look like two different people, and yet, of course, I'm not. I'm the same person experiencing something different. And having humility is a beautiful thing. Having self-love and care and devotion to know that even when you look your worst, you feel the worst, and you've behaved your worst, you're still a really valuable, beautiful, magnificent human being who is here doing what we've come to do on this earth school, and that is to learn, develop, grow, prosper, expand, and share love.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Honey, I can't add to that. Oh my God, listen to this. I think I've got no comeback for that.
First. So, David, David's a wonderful teacher. He's been teaching for many years. We've had quite a number of people reach out and ask to connect with David. You can book a private session with David, a private reading with David. David does all sorts of wonderful things in the world. So, David, how would you like people to connect with you if they'd like to?
Thanks, Anayah. Basically, guys, if you'd like to connect with me, look up, go onto Facebook and just look me up under David Laws, just because there's David Laws and there's David Laws, the famous flower man. I would ask people just to go onto my private page and follow me, because it's now been converted into a business page. So I'm actually in the process of converting everything back to my private page, because they've got Facebook have got a new thing out where you can have your private page turned into a business page, which means you can have thousands of followers, because once upon a time you could only have up to 5,000 private connections, but now you can go beyond that, and it's much easier to connect with people to follow. So I've got business coaches been setting me up and rejigging all my business for me. And in about 2 weeks' time, in fact, on the 19th of November, I will be launching some very exciting workshops online. So I'm just in the process of getting those together now. So if you'd like to follow me, if you'd like to learn some of the things that I'll be teaching in the coming times, I have just made a decision in recent times that I'm going to devote the rest of my life on this mortal coil, however long that may be. I'm going to devote it to teaching, training, guiding, mentoring, and helping people to laugh and to enjoy. I'll call it the samba through life. Come on, let's just do the samba together, and with all our bibs, bobbles, with all our faults and frailties and all our novelty bits, have a laugh and a giggle. And what's that saying? If you fall down, don't worry. I'll be there to lend a hand, but not before I burst out laughing.
And that's one of your great gifts, David, is you have the ability to laugh, like genuinely laugh, like so much of the time. And that energy of laughter brings our bodies and our brains to a point where we begin to express in really balanced and nurturing ways. How good do you feel after a good laugh, right?
Well, you know what, honestly, I mean, the endorphins that it releases in the body. And I mean, we all know what it's like when you've had a good belly laugh. How can you, I mean, when somebody's just had an absolute fit of laughter, try going into the sads and putting a sad face on after your sides are aching with laughter. It's impossible. You just can't, because your energy has gone through the roof and your vibration has lifted. And that's it. Can I tell you a quick story? You just have to hear this story. And this goes back many, many years ago. I've never forgotten it. And this is a demonstrative of what we're talking about. My beautiful ex-wife and I and her late mum and a group of us were in Darling Harbour in Sydney, we went into the Sydney for the day. Anyway, we walked into a hat shop. And I've always wanted to buy a hat. And I thought, I like a nice Panama hat. And Frances, my late mother-in-law, her and I had an amazing connection. She's the most gorgeous lady, sadly passed over now. And she was a bit of a fashionista. And I saw this hat and I put this hat on and I said, what do you think of the hat, Franny? And she said, I like it. But I said, is it a male hat or is it a female hat? Is it a man's hat or a woman's hat? She said, no, I think it's a man's hat. I said, but is it not a female hat? She said, I don't think so. And I thought, And I said to Lisa, what do you think? She said, well, if you like it, get it. I said, well, that's not an answer. What is it? Anyway, there was a sign on the wall and said, no refunds, no exchanges. I thought, I'll blow it. I'll buy it. And Fran said, no, I like it. I like it. She had a bit of a grin on her face. I said, why are you grinning? She said, oh, look, I don't know. Anyway, she said, but get it. It doesn't look too bad. So I bought it. You won't believe what happened. I put the hat on and I had all our bags and shopping. I walked out feeling la-di-da. I got this great hat on. We get onto the escalators. Coming down on the other escalator was a woman wearing the same goddamn hat. And we lost it. We just lost it. It's like the universe is going, nee. And it's just like, we got to the top of the escalator. And that was in the days when the monorail used to go around Darling Harbour, and we were getting on the monorail to go up to the city. By the time the monorail pulled in, my mother-in-law was crying. She couldn't even speak. She's hysterical. I couldn't throw the hat away because I couldn't take it back for a refund. I had this bloody hat on, and the train carriage pulled up. It's packed with people. Lisa, myself, Francis, and Paul and Jeremy, to another friend of ours. We all got into this carriage screaming with laughter. I'm laughing at Francis, she's laughing at me. And people in the carriage started to laugh. And one guy's laughing. He said, what are you guys laughing at? And Francis is going, the hat. She couldn't even say the hat. She said, the hat. She's trying. So all the way up to the city, we just roared with laughter. And you know what? We have never forgotten that day. And very sadly, at her eulogy, I was asked to deliver Frances's eulogy at the funeral. We all talked about that day, and the whole congregation was in fits of laughter again, because her gift to the world was laughter. So even in her memoriam, in her funeral, she still came through and made people laugh, because that was her. But see, the power of laughter and humor. And that was, 35 years ago. And I remember it like it was yesterday, the power of just how a laugh and a giggle can set up a whole carriage of people not even realizing what they're laughing at, But yeah.
It's because it is truly contagious.
Oh, it's contagious. And honey, we
They're
dined on that for
wonderful.
years. We dined on that day of the memory, dined on the memory of remember that day. And even if I have a bit of a down day now, I'll never forget I'll call it the day of the hat, the hat day, the day of the Panama hat. That was hilarious. Timing was impeccable.
That's stunning. Now, Janice in the comments has said, I will never forget the flower reading I had years ago with David. It was spot on. She had it with a group of about 6 of us, and everyone was in awe of how accurate your reading was.
Oh, thank you,
everyone. And I said, thank you, Lannis.
Lannis. Good on you, Lannis.
Thanks, Lannis. So here's the thing. We've been sitting here having a good old giggle and a bit of a chat about things, and I just felt fantastic. I felt so uplifted by the experience of just sharing such a simple story and some simple things with you guys. And this is actually the purpose of this monthly program, Restoring Faith in Humanity. I cannot tell you the amount of times I've heard people say they can't trust anyone. They don't feel, that they're safe anymore. And look, we know there are lots of reasons for this. That's not the purpose of the program. The purpose of the program is to help direct attention and energy back to what we do have. The wisdom, the courage, which may fail us at times. That is not a failing. That's contrast. The wisdom, the courage, the opportunities, the spiritual support. There is so much available to us, but it is up to us to ask, choose, accept, embrace. That's it.
That's it. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I always say, Anayah, we are the commander of the ship. We're the
That's
captain. The world is not our captain and the universe is not our captain. A lot of people think it's funny how often I hear people say, oh God, I wish the universe would give me a break. I wish the universe would, support me for a change and blah, blah, blah. It's like, sweetheart, or, mister, you know what you are? It's got nothing to do with the external. The external is only reflecting what's going on within us. And that's all there is to it. Yeah. It's an exchange of energy and vibration. And when when you shift your focus, your energy and your vibration, start to see the differences that come about in your life and what you attract. And it comes as no surprise. It's like, well, gee, I really shouldn't be surprised by what's happened because that's what I've been putting out. But that works both ways.
It does work both ways.
And
we then begin to lift our own vibration. Our frequency is so finely tuned to how we are feeling. So like, for example, when I dropped the chair this morning, my head wanted to go, oh, you know what? And really get down on myself. And then I just stopped and I thought about my little granddaughter upstairs.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, Anayah, what really matters to you right now?
That's right.
And I'll tell you what, it certainly wasn't a piece of furniture.
No, I know. That's not stuff.
So it's the mind chatter. The mind chatter will always try and bring you into a place of fear, because that is actually its job. Because the angels told me, what was it, guys? What were the actual words? Choice must be offered before choice can be made.
Yeah, that's right.
That was part of one of my teachings in the Angel Code. So that choice was offered to me, and irrespective of whether I chose to go down the path of, giving myself a big kick up the bum because I dropped the chair, or not, either way, I'm going to learn something eventually. I'm just going to choose to learn something,
That's exactly right.
More beautiful, more.
That's exactly right. And the other thing too, honey, is that the reality is that we are here to learn our lessons, but until we learn them, we will go around and around and around in circles and learn them again and again and again until one day, the penny will drop and you think, oh, maybe there's a lesson in this. Often you'll see people going around in circles like you're not learning the lesson. But hey, it's paths and journeys, and
part of the journey. And it's your circle.
That's
You're allowed to go around as many times as you want to.
Of course you can. But the beautiful
it's like you and your hat.
Yes, I know.
You took that and you made that something that to this day warms your heart.
That's right. And I believe now, that was the only time I wore the hat. I never wore it again. But I tell you what, the cost of the hat was worth was worth all the laughs we got that day and the memory. Because I mean, if it was just a normal hat and a normal thing, I would have worn it and thrown it away. I'd never forgotten it. I would never remembered it. But now it's like, oh, I remember the day of the hat, and it was just, it was just something so simple that was so profound and so hilarious that turned into a lifelong memory for us all, But it is, but a demonstrative of the power of laughter. And bringing humor into the situation, remembering that really, I always say, Anayah, that when I do my readings and in my day-to-day workings in life and with people, there are three key elements I always look for. The three cornerstones of my success is love, laughter, and humility. Those three things, guys, you align and tune into those vibes and adopt this into your life, and you cannot have a stronger connection to source than those three things, because I can't work without them and I can't live without them. It's who I am. I am laughter. I am love, and I'm very humble about that. And I'm always, humility is such a beautiful thing. Along with self-deprecating humor, you got to have a bit of a laugh at yourself as well, and
it's healthy, it's happy, it's it's a wonderful thing. It brings us to a point of that connection. Again, it's all about connection, to ourselves, to, with every beat of your heart, there is an opportunity, an amazing opportunity. And doesn't, as David said, doesn't exist out there. And it might take a little bit of time. It'll take some practice. It'll take some dedication to bring that focus back to you, because we've been taught that that's selfish, or it means, we're a bit up ourselves or whatever.
Absolutely.
We just got to get over that.
Well,
that's old hat, that's old school, and it's time to move away. That is a distraction, and that is an illusion right there.
Well, what do they tell you, darling, when you get into the aeroplane? Put your mask on first. Then look after everyone else. You've got to look after yourself. We've got to make sure that we are okay and that we are in balance, because there's no good of us running around putting everyone else's mask on to protect them, and we just crash and crumble ourselves because we've paid no love and attention to ourselves. And so many people are guilty of that, and they think it's a guilty feeling to feel as if, oh my gosh, it's what about you? I'll call it the Anayah morning, or the Anayah afternoon, or the Anayah day. Do you have an Anayah morning? Do you have an Anayah afternoon or a day? And if not, why not? In the sense of, well, treat yourself. It could be once a month. You think, oh, it's my day today. I'm just going to do something. It might be a pamper day. It might be just to go and pamper yourself. It might be to go and grab a fish and chips and sit down on the water, either on your own or with a friend or something or other. But just immerse yourself in that memory of in that moment. It's like, what am I going to do today? And it might be an away day. I'm going to go away today. I might do a train trip somewhere. I might, whatever it is. It's learning to do something out of the norm and create something a little different. And I'm always looking at ways in which I can do little things to create memories for my future. I'm actually flying up to Sydney this Thursday, and I'm up there for a business event on the weekend. We've got a harbour cruise on this Saturday with a bunch of friends. It's all going to be so much fun. But the highlight, of course, is me spending 3 or 4 days with my kids. And next Monday, I'm actually I have booked for my daughter and I. We're going to have a dad and daughter day next Monday, because the kids are in preschool. So we're having a dad and daughter day, and I'm taking her down to the Southern Highlands in New South Wales, down to Bowral, and I'm taking her to Milton Park Country Guest Manor. And it's a beautiful it was Anthony Horden's house that he built in the 1800s. He was the retail merchant with David Jones in Sydney. And anyway, I'm taking her there. We're having a champagne high tea lunch. So
that's amazing.
I know.
Yes. And then she's going to remember this for the rest of her life.
I know. And guess what? I've just bought it for Christmas. I can tell you here. Okay, it's between you, me, and Facebook. I have just. Have you? I'm sure you've heard of the movie The Holiday.
Yes.
Yes,
I love that movie, actually.
Well, my daughter and I, that is the bomb. We have watched that movie so many times over the years, and every Christmas we watch it. Well, guess what? The orchestra is they're putting on the holiday concert in Sydney, and you can go to it's the Sydney Symphony Orchestra with what have you, and they're playing all the music from the holiday. And I bought us 2 tickets to go to the live concert 2 days before Christmas.
Oh my God, that'll be so fantastic. I should love it. You'll have a brilliant time together.
So my son-in-law has quietly said, "Don't worry, I'll look after. I'll get everything organised. You and Alexandra go off and have another
Oh, wow.
little dad and daughter." That's our little thing, her and I. So
That's
yeah, so two, and so another thing, guys, is that when every now and again, plan these little events with somebody special in your life. For me, it's my family, my kids, my grandkids, and they live in Sydney. I live in Tassie, so I don't get to see them often. But whenever, it's important to have these little things. Oh, there's a treat day coming up. It gives you something to look forward to, and it gives your whole life a reason to be and to live and to celebrate this life that we've got, and none of us know how long we're here for. So just cram it with stuff. We've got to do that. And can I share another story as well? I've got another story. You've got to do this, okay? Okay, so look, it's not going to be a long day, but it will be a long night. So I'll share this with you, my dear friends, and my darling Anayah. Do you know what's a really good energy to live in? I call it the energy of spontaneity. Learn to be spontaneous. Learn to live with a touch, a nice splash of spontaneity, like the drop of a hat, just decide to do something crazy and wacky and a little bit out there, and you will love it forever. It was a couple of years ago now, around the COVID time, and my absolute best mate in the world, Glenn, he lives in Canberra with his wife, and they've got property down there. We grew up together, and we're just like brothers, and we, rarely, through the tyranny of time and distance, we don't get to see each other all that much. And one day we were chatting, it was a Thursday night, and he rang me up. "Oh, how are you going, mate?" We'd chat every now and again. And in the conversation, he said, "Man," he said, "I really miss you." I said, "Mate, I miss you too." He said, "I have got no idea when we're going to catch up again. I wouldn't have a clue when." I said, "Well, I can tell you when." He said, "When?" I said, "Next Monday." He said, "Next Monday?" He said, "Oh my God, are you coming to Canberra?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, what do you mean we're going to catch up?" I said, "I'll tell you what's going to happen next Monday. You are going to take a day off work. I'm taking a day off work, and we're going to meet in Sydney, and we're going out for lunch, and we're going to stay the night. This Monday, I dare you to get on and book a flight now." He went, "Are you kidding me?" He said, "I can't." I said, "You bloody well can." And he said, "Well," and my dear mate is very high up in the government with IT stuff, so he's very, very busy man. I said, "Mate, I want you to think of one thing. Before you say no, just think of one thing, and it's going to hit you between the eyes. If you drop dead tomorrow, who's going to replace you at work the following day?" He said, "Let me book my flight."
Wow.
So he gets on, he goes, brrr. He said, "Oh my God." He said, "I can get a flight out of Canberra at 10 o'clock. I can get into Sydney at 11. I went, "Hang on." Brrr. I said, "Oh my God, I can get in at 20 past 11. He said, "Well, you book that flight. I'll book mine." He said, "What are we going to do?" I said, "Let's figure it out." So he booked the flight. He said, "Lawsy, I have just booked the flight." I said, "Well, guess what? So have I." He said, "Right, I'll get a hire car organised, and I'll pick you up at the entrance at the passenger pickup." So I flew into Sydney. He flew into Sydney. Here he is with a hire car. We gave each other the biggest hug. We hadn't seen each other in nearly 2 years. He said, "What the hell?" He said, "I can't believe we're doing this." And guess where we went? We went down to the Opera House, and it was a stunning day. There was not a cloud in the sky. We got to the Opera House. There's a big sign outside the car park said $5 parking all day, $5 at the Opera House. So we parked the car there, and we went to the Oyster Bar, the Opera Bar there. And we went to the Opera Bar. Well, we got out the oysters, we got the champagne, we got it all flowing, and we clinked and cheers, sent a cheers to each other. And we said, "You know what? This is the joy of living spontaneously and just do it. Every now and again, just drop everything and just do it." And that night, I said, "Where are you staying tonight?" Because I was staying at a friend's place in the city. And I said, "Where are we going to have dinner?" He said, "Oh, I've got it all booked up." He had it all planned. After we made the phone call the next day, he got a ticket. He booked a seat for us at Sydney Cafe, which is right above the harbour, the ferry terminal. He got us a table right at the front that overlooks the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge. And we just sat there. We dined like kings that night. It was just incredible. Wow. And to this day, he said, "Lawsy," he said, "I'll never forget that time when we were just in a conversation. And there was no agenda except through the conversation. He just said, 'I don't know when I'm going to see you again.' I said, 'Next Monday. Just do it. Just do it. Come on, let's do it." And we did.
And you did.
We did. And it's like, yeah, you know what? You can do it. And the crazy thing is, that was 2 and a bit years ago now. But if we hadn't have done that, his next day would have been as normal.
Exactly.
And guess what? It didn't change his job because he had the day off. It didn't change anything, but he had the day off, came up to Sydney, and we went out and created a lifelong memory. Got great photos of us down in the bar there. And as I say to people, we don't have to do this all the time, but every now and again do something just, that's out of the norm. It's out of the norm.
Exactly.
And it just snaps you out of the humdrums of stuff that just goes on.
It does. And right before we go, I want to share a story about a mutual friend of ours, Javelle, who was, and still is, an amazing spirit. He's crossed over. He was a great believer in celebrating his birthday. He always bought himself birthday cake. I bought him birthday cake. No, I'm buying myself one as well, because that's what he did. And so he decided that for his birthday, he booked a limousine to pick him up. He booked a table at a local Italian restaurant. Yeah, he got Chevelle, honestly, he's so amazing. He got the limo to stop at the bottle so he can get some wine and stop at the shop so he can pick up his cake. You know,
I love it.
He said, it's so important to celebrate ourselves and the joy of the presence of us here on earth. We are not here by mistake. And off he went, and he had a wonderful time. He was Italian, but born in Egypt. And when he got to the restaurant, the restaurant's owner's father was visiting. So they sat together and drank wine and ate. He spoke Italian. He had the limousine bring him home. And it was the most beautiful birthday. He was gone by April.
There you go.
He'd made his crossing by April. And I have thought about that so many times. How wonderful to have experienced someone celebrating themselves.
Correct. Because, my darling, guess what? I'll ask you a question. Have you ever seen a hearse with luggage racks? No. Because we don't take it with us. The only thing we take with us, my darling, is what's in our heart and our memories and our experiences of life. This to me is the richness of life. That's what a rich life is. A rich life is all the stuff we cram in here, not what we cram our house with.
Yeah.
You know, those things are nice. It's nice to have material things. Don't get me wrong, but that's not what makes us, because the only thing that really fills us with joy and propels us on this wonderful journey forward of love and what have you is what is within us and all those experiences. So it's beautiful. And
for people watching, you know, it might not be, you know, jumping on a plane or hiring a limousine. It might be taking a walk, going to the park, looking at the birds, the trees, the flowers. It might be having a cup of tea with a friend. It might be, you know, glass of wine at night with someone. It doesn't have to be lavish. It can be what is lavish is the important part of being lavish is to lavish love, care, attention, focus, respect, compassion upon ourselves. When we do that, we automatically begin to fill ourselves up. Our vessel becomes full to overflowing, and then it is a natural thing to share it with others.
It is indeed. And one big word I like to add to all of that, you and we deserve it. We deserve it.
We sure do.
Even if it's lavish, you deserve it. If it's simple,
absolutely.
It's something that we deserve because we deserve to have happiness, love, and to be fulfilled in this life. We deserve it because why should we be made to feel guilty for something really a natural part of our being? And part of this, life is to be enjoyed. It's to be savored. We've chosen, as you said earlier in the conversation, Anayah, we're here to embrace this life and to enjoy it in its fullest context.
So true. It's so true. And the more we do it, the more we have to express, the more joy we have to express in the world. That is so important. So on that note, everyone, we are so grateful and so delighted. Every time you choose to love yourself, care for yourself, say a kind word to yourself, when you choose to join us here, because we love your company. There's no doubt about that. But we would do it even if no one was here, because this is part of what brings us joy as well. So, David, thank you again. I love sharing this time with you. You're such great fun, and you're such a great teacher as well.
Thank you, sweetheart. Well, we'll right back at you, and thank you so much, and thank you for the kind invitation to be a part of Angel Heart Radio, and thank you to all of our beautiful listeners who are tuning in today, and our viewers. So thank you, guys. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and who knows what we can create as we move along and on the journey forward. Looking forward.
Absolutely. So if you have a topic that you would like us to discuss on our program, Restoring Faith in Humanity on Angel Heart Radio, drop us a line or put it in the comments section, send us, a private message, whatever. Let us know. We'd love to support you in that way as well. So time to go out into the world and enjoy our day. And for a lot of you, it's evening. So lots of love, sweet dreams. Thank you for joining us. And always remember to be very kind to you, because you matter in the world and you're here on purpose with purpose. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Love you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.